Research shows that one of the nation's favourite tipples, beer, is shedding its old-fashioned image. And some industry experts believe that the spending power of women could be the secret weapon to help make pubs more profitable. Marverine Cole hit the ale trail.
Women are big news in certain quarters of the beer industry, with pubs closing down at a rate of around 39 each week. Believe it or not, women could be the key to slowing down that decline.
The number of women who say they regularly drink cask ale as part of their normal routine has gone up from about 600,000 to about 1.3 million.
I think they're usually quite surprised when I introduce where I'm from, but actually it's a real conversation opener, not only with the person behind the bar, but all the other customers in the pub.
It's an industry that's been plagued with men-only images like these for decades.
Double Diamond, the beer the men drink.
So, when I decided to investigate the changing beer scene, I discovered a fair few women who are at the forefront of a beer revolution.
Come on! Come on! Hurry up, Mary, come on!
Just a few decades ago, advertising campaigns were alienating women just a teeny bit. Men dreamt about beer, and their daily challenge was to sneak off from the missus and grab a cheeky pint.
Give us another pint of tavern, George. What are you doing, Chris? They're marking the ceiling.
Listen carefully. Thousands of years ago, women invented beer. Repeat, women invented beer. Zoom back to England's Middle Ages, where the female brewer, or alewife, was called a brewster. Back then, water was impure and led to disease. So women would bake their daily bread, take the leftover yeast and mix it with some other ingredients to create, hey presto, beer. And over the years, beer went from being served amongst family and friends at home to being sold in alehouses and inns, like this one in the centre of Nottingham. They say it's the oldest in England.
Certainly we believe that the Crusaders could well have stayed here en route to Jerusalem, and then in the Middle Ages our own most famous son, of course, is Robin Hood, and I'm certain he would have been drinking in the trib.
In my quest for more beer knowledge, I headed to Burton-on-Trent, a town with an illustrious brewing heritage and a museum that's a full-on homage to beer, the National Brewing Centre. And it's where I found this beauty. It's a stunning example of how important ale was back in Georgian times. Just take a look at this amazing inscription on the front. This glass is called a rummer. It dates back to 1830, and if you look very closely, there she is, the female brewster. Now fast forward to Edwardian times, and people had graduated to drinking in ale houses that looked very much like this. I went to meet the owner of an award-winning brewery in Grantham who's taken history to heart.
We brew a different beer each month, and we name it after women behaving badly throughout the centuries. We've even sent some out to the States. We sent Jezebel and Matahari out to the States in bottles, so they went down well.
So you've come up against some quite old-fashioned attitudes, haven't you?
Certainly, in the late 80s, went into a local pub asking for a pint of beer, and the landlord looked me up and down, sort of said, "You're not having a pint, that's not ladylike, you can have a half." So I had to have a half.
And times are changing, aren't they?
Oh, certainly, yeah. I mean, nowadays women go into pubs more, they're quite happy about that. You can have halves, you can even have a third of a pint.
How are you sure that a great tasting ale stays just that when it's served? I went to meet the only woman in Britain who tests cask ale to find out more about her arduous job.
The perfect temperature for cask ale to be served at is between 11 and 13 degrees, which is exactly the same temperature that the beer cellar should be kept at. If the beer has got a slight haze on it, slightly cloudy, it can be indicative of a number of things going wrong in the cellar or on the way from the cellar to the bar. There is particular off aromas that we can pick up in cask ale when it's not good quality. One of the key ones is if a beer smells vinegary or sour, it's an indication that the beer's been on sale for too long. No beer, no cask ale should be completely flat. So what I'm checking for first of all is very slight carbon dioxide in that beer, which has been created when the licensee has conditioned the beer down in the cellar. So cask ale should always give you a little bit of a tingle on the tongue.
Now, the business challenge for many pub managers is to make sure that selling quality ales translates into profit.
Since we've been here, we've seen a 15% swing from the lagers and ciders that you'd normally get towards the cask ale. I think that's because people understand that it's a quality product and it always tastes good here. So now cask ale actually accounts for half of all the drinks we sell.
Now, remember those old sexist ad campaigns? Well, I uncovered a movement challenging that old-fashioned behaviour by trying to encourage some beer love, as well as getting women to try beer cocktails.
Whose idea was this, putting beer into cocktails? I think some people will, frankly, be a little horrified.
It's very much about getting women to choose beer as their drink of choice. We've spoken to over 30,000 women over the last year, so I think we can say that's quite a representative view of women, and found some really interesting facts about women and how they view beer. More and more women are choosing to visit their local pub, and a lot of the things that are really important to women are things that should be, kind of taken for granted. So good service, being able to present a beer menu so women know what beer menu you've got, good food. Women very much go to a place that's got good food, and also just getting the basics right, so having really clean, nice smelling toilets.
Every year, an independent school report card of sorts is released about ale, and it's compiled by this man.
1.3 million women drink this stuff on a regular basis. Pubs need to offer something that people can't get elsewhere. Beer in supermarkets is very cheap. Cask beer, cask ale, you can't get it at home. You can't buy it in the supermarket. People seem to really like it. There's more women, they're very upmarket, they're affluent, they're at a life stage where they've got a bit more money to spend. When they spend in pubs, they don't just buy beer, they're more likely to buy food as well. They bring friends in with them. It's not right for every pub, but for the pubs that it is right for, it can be the difference between staying open and going under.
All this talk of beer was quite frankly making us hungry. Cube, the landlady and food and beer matching enthusiast from the Keen's Head in Nottingham.
With the icing, it almost goes kind of marzipan-y, a bit almondy because of the licorice that's in. But the cake's not so overpowering, is it? And the beer's not overpowering, but you put the two together and you get a really strong.
Do you know what it is? Absolutely blown my mind, that has, because when you were talking about how this has got a licorice flavour to it, I tasted the licorice, but I didn't dislike it.
I think there's nothing better than going to the pub on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday papers, little plate of cheese, favourite pint, absolutely perfect. What a way to spend a day.
It really is.
Yeah.
With thousands more women joining this beer revolution, coupled with a beer scene that's working hard to shed its old-fashioned image, I think it's become a case of don't knock beer until you try it.
Cheers.